Safe ideas, empty. Hang on, what's in here? Unsafe ideas, dangerous ideas. Ideas involving cats. Ideas involving cats dressed like Michael Jackson. Ideas involving cats dressed as Superman. Sexy ideas. Here it is, alphabetically. Worst nightmare. So there's quite a lot of material on Darryl. There's actually 3 speeches. Sarah, would you like to pick one? Pick one. A, B, or C? Jeopardy. A. Probably the best. Probably the best one. Probably the best one. So
I was going to veto B anyway.
With tradition comes a little bit of fancy dress, of course, pageantry. As we know, Darryl likes a bit of pageantry. You have to bear with me a second while I put my costume on. Dominic, I'm Dominic, this is Dave, by the way. Dave. Hi. Alright, we're about ready to go. Let me just... There it is. And that's the speech. Joking.
It's an actual photo, by the way.
Yeah. Have I finished? Is it you? Sorry, hand over to David.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Davies, and this is my co-best man, Dominic. Darryl decided he needed 2 best men, in case one of us didn't make it through the stag do. I can't speak for Dom, but it was definitely a close call for me. The 3 of us met in Cardiff, where Darryl was studying for a degree in astrophysics, as he never tires of telling people. In fact, on those early nights out in Cardiff, when we were getting to know people, and I was telling them that I was studying neuroscience and planning a career in brain surgery, Darryl had a habit of sidling up alongside to remark that whilst brain surgery sounds very interesting, it's not exactly astrophysics, is it? Rocket science!
So Darryl Jody Kilgannon. What a lot of you already know about Darryl is he's a massive fan of cocks. Professor Brian Cox, of course, is one of Darryl's heroes. His combination of good looks and knowledge of physics makes him a role model to Darryl. And so in honour of this, we have tried to give this speech a physics twist. Hence the lab coats. We're going to try and solve the equation of Darryl, no matter what dark places this takes us to. So speaking of dark places, we begin with space. That's space. Darryl is fascinated by our solar system. One planet in particular has always interested him. It's the 7th planet from the Sun. Barren and inhospitable, Darryl nevertheless would love to go there one day. I'm sure Sarah's sick of Darryl telling her. I'd love to go to this planet. But maybe one day soon he will. It is his wedding day after all.
And so, you start our equation with the total number of planets in the solar system. 8. Pluto doesn't count. This equation is obviously insufficient to explain the complex man you see before you today, but if we rearrange the equation, and look closer, we begin to see that we are getting somewhere.
Dave, your maths isn't right, you've forgotten the sign. Okay, so for the next part of the equation, we have to take into account Darryl's impact on the world. We mean this metaphorically, obviously, but also physically. Darryl is a well-travelled man, and as you can see from these pictures, he has literally impacted the world wherever he goes. Here's a picture of Darryl impacting the world in Ludlow. Here's a picture of Darryl impacting the world on holiday. Here he is in a hotel somewhere. This is him impacting a hay bale. He's trying to impact a pub in this next one. And this last one is very special to me. It's just me and him. In a bush.
The next important factor in the equation of Darryl is obviously his hair. I have known this man take in excess of 30 minutes to perfect his do for the evening. Like a modern-day Samson, much of his power stems from his hair. He has taken inspiration for hairstyles from many different sources over the years. Cherished childhood cartoon characters. Suicidal computer game rodents. Troubled pop stars. Australian/Norse gods. And, yeah, the next one. This one may have been a bad idea.
So, for a significant amount of time during university, Darryl would take his hairstyling to near obsessive levels. And this culminated one day with him purchasing a pair of hair straighteners. Incidentally, becoming the first straight man in Britain to own a pair. I'm pretty sure that Darryl was under the impression that GHD stood for Great Hair, Darryl.
And so we add the hair straighteners to the equation. But having great, and very straight, hair did a strange thing to Darryl. He became emboldened and cocky, leading to an incident that destroyed a friendship, but also provided Darryl with a lifetime supply of processed cheese. In the third year of university, Dom, Darryl and I lived together in a house in Cardiff. Darryl went on a night out with some of his physics buddies. Not being cool enough to hang out with that particular gang, Dom and I stayed at home. At 2 o'clock in the morning, Darryl burst into the house carrying a bulging black bin liner. He was grinning like a Cheshire cat, sweaty and pink. He had a manic look in his eyes. Did you have a good night then? I asked. Darryl then regaled us with a story of how he came by ownership of this bin bag. Apparently, he had been at the student union in Cardiff, and when kicking out time came, he and his friend Shane, who isn't here incidentally, had stopped at a burger van for a midnight snack. Now, the burger vans that are found outside Cardiff Students' Union are not known for their quality food, but fortunately drunken students are also not known for their discerning taste, so the vans do pretty good business. However, Darryl was not just any drunken student, and as a connoisseur of fast food, he wanted to know exactly what he was getting. So he asked the chef what type of cheese came on a cheeseburger. Not knowing the name of the cheese and being too busy to get into a conversation with the customer, the chef decided to show Darryl and lifted a large bin bag full of slices of processed cheese onto the counter. Darryl now had a choice. Pay an extortionate price for a disgusting burger, or bring home the ultimate prize. Darryl grabbed the bag and yelled, "Shane, run!" Blessed with gazelle-like legs and fueled by Jaeger, he was off like a rocket, despite the extra weight of the bag. The yells of the burger man faded behind him as he ran back to the house. One thing he had failed to realise in the split decision to steal the cheese was that Shane was not in the long plan. Being too slow to react to, "Shane, run!" he had been caught by the owner of the burger van and later spoken to by the police. Now, an honourable man would have returned the cheese, apologised to the police and his friend, and taken responsibility for his actions. Needless to say, cheese was on the menu for a few weeks afterwards. And so we add cheese to the equation.
Now, as you can see, the equation is beginning to get a little bit out of hand. So now we need a small number. To get this tiny number, we take a look at a proportion of Darryl's anatomy that he's very self-conscious about. He thinks that this appendage being so small makes him less of a man, but we've tried to explain that to him. Having sparrow-type legs really makes no difference. It's what you do with them that counts. So we add the width of Darryl's ankles to the equation and move on. At this stage, we begin to look towards Darryl's legacy. What exactly is the result of a Darryl? So far, we know Darryl is very competitive and constantly strives to be better than the rest. For example, own the most cheese, sport the best haircut, pass out in the most countries. What you may not know, is that Darryl finally achieved his dream of holding a world record whilst on his stag do. He now holds the world record for the shortest period of time between entering a country and being arrested. This world record attempt started in Malaga Airport. You may or may not know it, so we've produced a schematic to help. This is Malaga Airport. Darryl enters the country here. At passport control. We proceed to baggage reclaim. Oh, hang on. No, that's right. We proceed to baggage reclaim and wait for our bags. The plan is to take the following simple route out of the airport and collect a taxi here. Darryl makes it as far as the red line. At which point, he sees the robotic trolley machine and decides to grab a ride. Seconds later, he's apprehended by the police and he disappears along the route shown. Eventually he was released, looking pale and sweaty, but at least we know he's not allergic to latex. So at this stage we add the world record to the equation, and I hand back to Dave.
So finally, we take the total number of stories about Darryl, and we subtract the number that is safe for family, friends, children, and any animals that might be listening to here. The result is approximately equal to 1, and that was the cheese story I told earlier.
He's read my bit. By now, Dom and I were struggling, so we asked ourselves, what would Darryl do? Straighten his hair.
Admire himself in the mirror.
Harass Brian Cox.
Skip leg day.
Admire himself in the mirror.
Steal some plastic cheese.
Admire himself in the mirror. And after a bit of thought, the answer was obvious. We would do what Darryl always does, and immediately locked ourselves in our room and turned on the internet.
I'll let that sink in. Some science happened. And hours later, Dom and I emerged, sweaty-faced and clutching the answer to the ultimate question. What is the meaning of Darryl?
That's the end. So this Dave and I would like to provide you a very, very happy life together. I would ask you all to charge your glasses and make a toast to the bride and the groom, Darryl and Sarah.